Divine Series. Episode 6, The Jinn War, Part 1. Beneath a somber sky draped with thick clouds, the kingdom of Nebel stood majestic, its black stone towers piercing the heavens. Within the grand council hall, the air was heavy with tension and whispers of ambition. King Nebel, an aged ruler with eyes clouded by doubt, sat upon his throne, gazing at the two figures before him, Satan, his crown prince, a genius yet wild, and the commander of Nebel, a muscular warrior whose loyalty burned alongside a simmering vengeance. "Why must we wage war?" the king asked, his voice echoing in the cold chamber. "What do we gain from this bloodshed?" Satan stepped forward, his eyes glinting with a confidence that bordered on terrifying. "Dominion, father. Expansion of our realm. And afterward, we shall bring forth a new justice, a better system for this world." His words were soft, yet brimming with unyielding desire. "We conquer them, and we reshape the world." The commander nodded, adding, "Yet our forces are insufficient. We need allies, the tribes of the wilderness, like the centaurs, orcs, and others." The king regarded them, hesitant. But under the weight of his son's ambition, he nodded faintly, as if unable to resist the current pulling him along. "Do what you deem necessary," he said, his voice nearly swallowed by the shadows of the hall. Far in the wilds, amidst dense forests and secretive caves, the untamed tribes lived in rhythm with nature. The centaurs, proud with their half-horse, half-human forms, galloped across the plains. The orcs, giants with muscles hard as stone, were known for their brute strength but limited intellect. Tales spoke of them drinking their own urine in bizarre rituals. The commander of Nebel approached them, bearing an offer, the kingdom's resources in exchange for loyalty in war. One by one, the tribes agreed, save for the stubborn orcs, who refused to bow. With sword and blood, the commander forced their submission, dragging them into the ranks of the allied forces. Night was falling when the Nebel army, led by the commander astride a black warhorse, reached the gates of the Goblin Kingdom. A grand archway inscribed with "Come with love and peace" stood ironic under the shadow of war. The goblins, a cunning but frail people, were unprepared for the sudden onslaught. Their fortifications crumbled beneath the stomping feet of Nebel's forces and their allies. Goblin citizens fled in panic, their screams drowned in dust and smoke. Atop the highest tower of the Goblin Kingdom, the Goblin King stood, sword in hand, his face a mask of resolve tinged with despair. He recalled a time when he had welcomed Satan with lavish feasts, even offering his daughter's hand in marriage. Now, facing him was the commander of Nebel, his body enhanced by Satan's mysterious power, seemingly invincible. A fierce battle ensued, but the Goblin King was no match. With a single swing of his blade, the commander severed the king's head, then cast it from the tower to the horrified crowd below. Satan, watching from the sky in his half-dragon form, black wings spread wide, eyes glowing red, smiled thinly. "The first act is complete," he murmured, as if the world were his stage. Yet the goblin people did not surrender as he had predicted. Their rage erupted, and they fought back with reckless abandon, though ultimately overwhelmed by numbers and weaponry. King Nebel's order to spare lives was ignored. Blood flowed through the streets, and the Goblin Kingdom became a city of the dead, its archway now stained with gore. In the Nebel camp, the king sat, his face pale. "Why has this happened?" he asked, his voice trembling. "This was not our plan. Why this massacre?" The commander replied coldly, "They attacked us first after their king fell. We had no choice." Satan, calmly patting his father's shoulder, said, "Enough, father. This is not our fault. We will learn from this. Let the tribes plunder. We still need them." But in the king's heart, guilt began to gnaw. He thought of his younger sister, married into the humanoid Jinn kingdom, now the next target. "Oh God, what have I done?" he whispered, his voice lost in the ambition that had consumed his kingdom. The Nebel forces marched again, this time toward the humanoid Jinn kingdom, close allies of the goblins, now seething with rage over their kin's slaughter. In the forest, Humanoid cavalry stumbled upon the ruins of the Goblin Kingdom, bodies strewn among giant centipedes feasting on the remains. Hearts heavy with vengeance, they returned to their kingdom and reported to the humanoid king, an old ruler furious at the news. "Ready the troops," he commanded. "We will avenge the goblins." His queen tried to soothe him. "Your Majesty, is there no other way? Perhaps negotiation?" But the humanoid king, consumed by anger and fear for his kingdom's fate, refused. "We go to war." Yet before the humanoids could prepare, their scouts brought dire news. The Nibel army was already halfway to their kingdom, bringing monstrous creatures, dragons, and weapons far superior. The humanoid prince, a bold but reckless youth, led the front lines to stall the enemy. In an epic clash, he faced the commander of Nibel. Both leaders traded blows, but the commander's experience and strength proved superior. As the prince turned to retreat, a spear from a centaur, a traitor allied with Nibel, pierced his chest, ending his life. Atop the humanoid kingdom's roof, Satan, in his black dragon form with menacing wings, watched the destruction unfold with calm detachment. None knew his presence save the commander and King Nibel. He was the shadow behind the chaos, the puppeteer reveling in his war's drama. As the Nibel forces stormed, humanoid catapults hurled fireballs into the sky, incinerating the enemy's front lines. But the commander of Nibel, enraged by his troops' losses, unleashed dragons that spewed searing heat. The humanoid kingdom burned, buildings collapsed, and civilians, including King Nibel's sister, were consumed in the flames. The king's order to protect civilians was ignored, and total devastation followed. In the Nibel camp, the king wept. "My sister, she was there," he cried, his face etched with regret. "Oh God, forgive my deeds, what went wrong?" Satan, unruffled, drew forth the sacred Jinn scripture and pointed to a verse he twisted to his liking. "Father, they defied God. We are justified in fighting them. This is not our fault." King Nibel fell silent, his heart torn between guilt and his son's manipulation. In the distance, a volcano erupted, as if nature itself wept for the sins committed. The war of the Jinn had turned the world into a sea of blood and ash, and Satan, with his dragon wings, stood atop the ruins, gazing at the destruction with a faint smile, the puppeteer who forgot that even the grandest ambition could never defy the will of God.